What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 152 of the Creating Wealth podcast. Today, we get the great pleasure of chatting with Jeff Hyatt. He is the Director of New Business Development at MS Consultants, an amazing cost segregation company that has helped many investors in our network properly leverage depreciation. Jeff, what's going on, man? I'm super excited to have you on here.
I'm psyched to be on here as well, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. So thanks for having me on, Kyle. It's great to be here with
I
you.
appreciate it, man. I appreciate it a lot. I'm very excited to, kind of jump in today. Um, so like we mentioned, man, I love to, let people, kind of introduce themselves, like jump into, their humble beginnings, kind of tell their story for a bit. And, wherever you want to jump into your story, where you grew up or how you got into the industry, wherever you want to jump in is totally cool, man.
Cool, that's great. So just from a completely cost seg side, I joined the firm in '99. We started doing cost segs. I think you were probably maybe 3 years old at the time, maybe.
I was I wasn't born yet, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're killing me, man.
I was 2000. I'm sorry, man.
So the firm started doing these in '96. I joined in '99, and we've been doing cost segs ever since. We've done about 24,000 studies nationally. We do work all over the country with everything from little short-term Airbnb kind of rental things to skyscraper buildings and everything in between. We've done some really cool buildings and then some really boring, ugly, industrial buildings that you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe there hasn't been a fire in here already. And what am I doing, this for? But I've been doing it a long time and have got great results for our clients, and they refer us clients, and life is good that way. So.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I think it's extremely cool. Like guys, we were talking a little bit before the show started. Cost seg's definitely something that I'm in the very, very early beginnings of understanding. Because it's a pretty, high level type of topic, for a lot of people. And it's incredibly cool, to have somebody like Jeff out there that like has done this so many freaking times and like, so many different ways with so many clients. Especially, around our neck of the woods. And yeah, man. So like, how did you kind of like fall into the, like the cost seg type of worlds? Like, did you, I guess maybe, kind of grow up in a, like a financial kind of background, or like, did you just kind of happen to stumble across it? And how'd you get into it?
Well, it's kind of funny that you asked that question because, I was born and raised in Indiana,
Nice.
and moved out here in '87 when I got out of school with Eli Lilly. So I was working for Eli Lilly selling pharmaceuticals, and ended up getting the bug to, be my own boss. And so ended up in the insurance business and was doing life and disability insurance. And one thing led to another, and realized that I could sell more insurance if I could help the the client reduce expenses in other areas of their business. In other words, if I could save them a bunch of money, now they would have the money to buy my insurance premiums or my insurance policies. So I started to do expense reduction consulting as a way of funding the insurance I wanted them to buy. One thing led to another as that progressed, and I enjoyed doing the expense reduction more than I did the insurance. So I moved away from the insurance and focused on this expense reduction thing. That was about '94. Along comes '99, and this young CPA guy was moving from Buffalo, New York to Boston area to continue dating my little sister-in-law that he had met in college. And he said, Jeff, you're doing all this expense reduction stuff with clients. You should hear about this thing called cost segregation. And this was in '99. And I said, well, what is it? And he explained it. And I said, oh, no, that sounds really boring. No, thanks. Because if you're not in real estate, it's really boring. But nonetheless, he said, no, if your clients own property, they're going to be very interested in this. And I said, okay, let me check. So I checked with my clients that own, Taco Bells and Domino's Pizzas and Dunkin' Donuts. And they were all like, yeah, that'd be great. How do you do that? So I ended up connecting, and we ended up doing, 5 or 10 projects a year. And it was a nice little piece of the business. It was like one of the things I was doing for the expense reduction side. And then about 0203, we ended up doing some work for the folks that had bought a big defense contractor's couple of buildings in a sale leaseback. And so they owned the buildings, but the defense contractor was still in them for a few more years. So we did the cost seg, and we saved those guys about $4 million. And their CPA saw this. This was in about 02. And their CPA saw it and said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And he said, you need to get this in front of other CPAs. And I said, okay, how would we do that? And he said, well, I'll get you in with one of the accounting societies, Mass Society of CPAs. And I said, okay. So we did a presentation for them, and we went from doing 5 or 10 projects a year to doing a couple of hundred. And so we've, kind of use that model, and we teach CPAs about it, and it works very well. We now do about 2,000 studies a year, all over the country. And we've got 6 CPAs and 19 engineer types who do the work behind the scenes, all of the site visits that the IRS requires. And then we have that work gets funneled over to the CPA folks on our team, and they break everything apart and put everything in the right tax buckets. Because we're so heavy on the CPA side now that we're in this for 26, 27 years, we follow the IRS guidelines stringently. The IRS has a thing called the Audit Techniques Guide. And so that's how the IRS communicates to their field agents what to look at when determining whether a cost seg meets the IRS requirements or not, the Audit Techniques Guide. We follow that, and we're part of a group that is the overarching group that oversees cost segregation providers. It's called the American Society of Cost Seg Professionals, ASCSP.
Gotcha.
And with that, there are many folks out there doing cost seg that either aren't members of the ASCSP or don't follow the guidelines, or both. And they are usually very inexpensive and will not stand up under audit. And we want our clients to stand up under audit, because you don't want to get nailed a few years later after doing a cost seg for penalties and interests, plus the tax that you deferred anyway from the beginning. So you can get whacked if you don't do it right. And that's what we always focus on, is doing it right.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you at all. And that's incredibly interesting, man. Like, especially mentioning that, there are a lot of other folks out there that do it. However, there's a lot more variables that should be added to the question in terms of value, and not just comparing price, like one company to another, and like, especially from a risk perspective as well.
Well, exactly. and if you're bringing in investors,
yep,
in the whole syndication thing, or using the whole other people's money kind of funding a purchase, you don't want to be the guy that brings in an underperforming, let's say, cost seg thing that causes your investors audits, headaches, pain, interest, and all that stuff. So anyway, you want to partner up with quality providers is the bottom line.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So what cost seg, because we jumped right into the deep end of the pool there. And so hopefully I didn't bore people too much with that little background. What cost seg is, because you kind of said maybe I should explain it. Um, if you don't do anything else, meaning if you just buy a building, whether it's an apartment building, which you will get 27.5 year depreciation, or you buy something other than apartment, which is going to be 39-year depreciation. So when you buy a building, if you don't do anything, you're going to get either 27.5 year life or 39-year life. So you've got your purchase price, you got to sub out a land value because land is non-depreciable. So now you've got so let's say you paid $1 million for a building. Let's say land is 15%, let's say. So land 150 grand is not depreciable. Now we're talking about 850 as the depreciable basis of the building. You're going to take that 850 divided by 27.5 or 39-year life. And that's what you get to write off every year for the next 27.5 or 39 years. What a cost segregation study does is say, wait a minute, I don't want to wait 27.5 or 39 years to write off that 850. I want to write pieces of it off sooner. And when I talk to most people and ask them, would you rather have a deduction today or in 39 years or 27.5 years? And most everybody says, well, gosh, if I can get it today, I would rather have it today. I don't know if I'll still own the building in 27.5 years. I don't know if I'll be alive then.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I'm sure.
I'm sure. So hopefully.
The young guys are not worried about the alive part. But, many older folks are going, man, that 39 years, what the heck? So anyway, what ends up happening then is they'll take the deduction now. And then, especially in your demographic of, people that are trying to grow their real estate portfolio, you take that tax benefit, tax deferral, and you get to go buy another building with it and then do the whole BRRRR thing or the fix and flip, whatever it is you're doing, you get to take and redeploy that. The idea being it's better for you to control that money and you get to make decisions on it versus just blindly sending it down to DC.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's such a crazy tool to be able to leverage in the industry. I mean, especially up in our neck of the woods where average purchase prices are a bit much compared to a lot of other places. Even, I mean, to use the example that you used earlier, say you paid like $1 million for, I mean, that could be like a 4-family over here or a 6 or a 3 or two family, wherever you are potentially,
I saw one in Waltham that I think your team listed.
Yep, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
I was like, holy smokes, for a 4-family.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And it's like, it's one of those things, I mean, especially, if you're a bit further into the game, yes, but also to your point as well of like, if you're a bit more established and using, other people's capital to, provide a win-win, type of scenario, pick up some buildings, give some hopefully good returns and that kind of thing. To be able to leverage tools like this, especially and as well for, some of the guys that both of us are close with that are doing these much larger deals that can take advantage of something like, cost segregation to really like, make a big difference in terms of, returns for their passive investors and, syndications and that kind of thing. And the numbers are staggering, like, depending on how things go, it's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. So, it works very well. Just like you said, if you just do, the whole other people's money thing and you're making everybody happy with the returns, that's great. And they're going to pay tax on that NOI on their share of it. And that's fine. But what if you gave them a loss so you're giving them the returns, but then on paper, you're giving them a loss that enables them to not have to pay tax on at least that income. But if they've got other properties that they own as well, outside of the portfolio you have with them, now you're using the cost seg, the accelerated depreciation on this property, on property A, let's say, to offset tax on property B, C, D, and E.
Yeah.
Well, life is good then. I mean, you not only just help them make money, you're helping them save money or reduce their income tax. And when you do that, now all of a sudden they're even happier with you because you've done something that other folks haven't done for them. And guess what? The next time you come along and Kyle says, hey, Fred, do you want to, I've got this portfolio going over here. Do you want to do this again? And he's going to say, where do I send the check?
Absolutely.
You're giving him cash, money in hand, but then you're also giving him losses, tax losses. That means he doesn't have to pay tax on it.
Yeah. It's such a crazy thing, man. It's such a cool, tool and everything. It's absolutely nuts. Let me ask you, man, is there like, I know this is a very loaded question. I know it's very, situation dependent and that type of thing. But say for somebody out there who, is just getting into the game for the first time, maybe buying like a 2 to 4 unit or something like that, probably going to hold it for a good amount of time. Is this, I guess, a tool that, for some might be better leveraged at later points versus maybe doing things earlier? And I know it's very like situation dependent, so I'm not sure how to.
No, it's a great question.
But
oh gosh, no. So here's the deal. We've again done 24,000 of these.
Yeah.
So we do them again for little teeny buildings to massive skyscrapers in downtown Boston, 32 stories that a lot of people have mutual fund money with, but we can't say their name. So, with that said, we found that people, potential clients will move ahead if they spend $1 to get the study done and they save themselves at least $4 or $5.
Yeah.
So they give us $1, we save them 4 or 5. They're going to be happy with that. That makes sense for them. Because we have this database, we found that we've pushed the entry level down to about 300 grand, maybe even a little lower, depending on number of properties and all these other things. But we can be efficient and get these done and give that 4 or 5 to 1 ratio if they've spent anything more than 300 grand on the depreciable basis of the building.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means basically in New England and West Coast and I shouldn't just say New England, anything on the Eastern Seaboard, the Western Seaboard, and a lot of the bigger cities in between, you can't dig a hole for 300 grand, much less buy a building. So almost anything somebody buys is going to be a candidate for it. So then the question becomes, do they want to do it? Do they want to wait? All that. Well, that's up to them. But if they're looking to grow more quickly, in my opinion, and keep in mind, I own a bunch of property. My wife and I own a bunch of property ourselves. We own commercial. We own residential apartments through people that you and I both know. And so we have property, and we are always trying to grow our portfolio more quickly and can use that money that was going to go down to DC. Now we can redeploy. Okay, great. Get into another property and do the whole BRRRR thing again, and rinse and repeat. And so that's our approach, but that doesn't mean it's right for everybody. Some folks might not want to grow that quickly, and maybe they want to send money to DC. I don't know.
To each their own, right?
Exactly. Whatever. I'm not judging. Whatever.
Yeah, man.
It is fun because our team gets to work with some of the, largest real estate folks in the country, and we've done projects everywhere, and it's a lot of fun too, because we're saving people money. And whether I'm saving a small person that owns a little Airbnb or a little 2-family, whether I'm saving them 30 grand and they're psyched, or I'm saving somebody 300 grand or 3 million or 30 million, all of which are in our spectrum of having completed, whoever it is gets excited about what it is for them. The small guy gets excited about 30 grand, whereas the guy that's saving 300 or 3 million, they look at it and go, 30 grand, I wouldn't, we spend that on Kleenex every year.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? But the 30 grand guy, that's real money for him. And I love working with them because it gets them jacked up about it. And then getting up to the bigger folks, it gets them jacked, So I really enjoy what we do and how we do it.
I love that, man. Yeah, no, I can imagine, some of those reactions, especially, from somebody that might be newer into, understanding this, this tool to be able to, like you mentioned, continue to scale up, continue to grow, and, seeing the numbers be run and be like, oh yeah, you could save like X amount, if you do this, maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't, like, whatever the situation is. And like, I can just imagine, man, like seeing from your perspective, like seeing the smile on their face after, seeing somebody that's never heard of this type of thing before. I mean, like, holy crap, like this is game changing. Like, I don't have to save up another X amount of dollars for another down payment and this, that, the other. Like this changes the whole paradigm of everything. To your point of as well, maybe, some of the much bigger dogs out there that, are saving 6, 7 more figures, from doing something like this is incredible.
Yeah, it is funny because there's a couple of things going on there. So there's the initial tax savings. I'm going to call that the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The initial tax savings that we give based on the accelerated depreciation. And that's what everybody in cost seg does. That's me and everybody else out there. The cake is the tax savings today, tax deferral, technically. But then our firm does something, again, because we're so focused on the CPA side of the house. We want to give the client more value. Okay. So the icing that we give that's above and beyond the cake is we're giving the details on the part of the building the other folks, my competitors, ignore. And that's those are the items that are in the 27.5 or 39 year not accelerated category. And what I mean by that is, imagine this. You buy a building, again, under the Burr thing, and there's going to be renovations. So you buy it, you have tenants in there, and over the next year or 2 or 3 or 10, you have to upgrade the roof or put in new HVAC. Well, those 2 items in particular, or new windows or doors, those are all 27.5 or 39 year items. And most firms out there, my competitors, ignore that. And they don't give any value there because it's not accelerated. So why does anyone care about it? Well, no one does care about it until you go and have to do a renovation. So now you put a new roof on. And maybe when you bought the building, the roof was worth 30 grand. Well, we give you that value. So you know what that value is. And Kyle says, okay, great. The roof was 30 grand the day I bought the building. How does that help me, Jeff? Well, Kyle, it doesn't help you today. But in 10 years, when you go to replace that roof and you have to put a new one on, because of inflation, it's going to cost you 50 grand to put a new roof on. So you spend your 50K. Now you've got a new roof on the building, and you tell your accountant you spend 50K on the roof, and he's going to go, okay, Kyle, no problem. That goes in 27.5 years from that date forward. And guess what? You've got a roof on the building for 50 grand, but you have 2 on your depreciation schedule. The first one that you haven't yet depreciated, and the new one you just spent 50K on. What our report does with that extra detail is enable you to, within the IRS guidelines, take a write-off on that first roof because it landed in a dumpster. So you get another bite at the tax apple with our report. But it's not just the roof. It's the HVAC, because those never last 27.5 years. You might be buying a building that's got windows in it that are single pane that were, put in place in 1950. And you're going to upgrade it, make it more energy efficient, put in double pane windows. Okay, great. You get rid of the old, put in the new, another write-off with my report. So you've got all these opportunities to get the icing on the cake as well as the cake with so it just adds more value as time progresses.
That's super deep, man. And that's crazy, especially like, being able to have, both of those items and not just kind of like losing out on the one that's in the dumpster, in the parking lot or whatever. And, being able to get some benefits out of both of those kind of things.
Yeah.
So a question I have for you, man, right, is like, so say, um, you're like, I guess, say you buy a building that, needs a fair amount of love to it. Say it needs a new roof, new HVAC, etc. You get a cost seg study done. How does that process typically look like? Like, does somebody from like your guys' firm like come out, do like some sort of like site inspection, like take pictures? Like, I guess, how does it kind of work to do a study?
That's a perfect question. Thank you for
I
that's
know.
I should have sent you that question to ask. That's um, but I did not. You came up with that on your own. So the deal is, typically people would give us, I'll call it 5 or 6 data points. Number one, street address, so we can just do a quick Google Earth of it.
Yeah.
What they paid for the building, what they want to use for the land allocation, because land is non-depreciable. How many units is it? Is it 10 units? Is it 2 units? Or is it an office building? What is the building? And then what is the acreage of the site? If we have that basic data, we can give an estimate of tax benefit before they spend a nickel. So they're going to understand, okay, I spent 300 grand, I spent 3 million, I spent 30 million, whatever it is. So you're going to have that. We'll give the estimate, work up a nice spreadsheet that says, here's where you are without cost seg, here's where you are with. Does it look good to you? Yes or no? And depending on who you are, the 30 million guy is not going to be excited about the $30,000 tax savings.
Yeah.
But if the person paid 300 grand and we're saving them X, then they're going to be very excited. So bottom line is they understand what the numbers are likely to be and what our fixed fee is. We provide a fixed fee every time. Other folks, my competitors out there, often will be working on a contingent fee, which is considered too aggressive by the IRS. They typically don't like to see contingent fees because it gives an incentive for aggressiveness that really shouldn't be in this place, because if the client asks for it properly, they will get these deductions.
Yeah.
It's not like some other tax scenarios where maybe the municipality will grant an abatement and maybe they won't. This isn't that. This is within the tax code. These are the areas that you can accelerate, and we help the client get it. There's no gray area there.
Yeah.
Bottom line, they'll know what the tax benefit is going to look like, what the fee is going to be, and they can make a decision to do it. Assuming they said yes to go, then they would sign our engagement letter. We would schedule our team to go out. Again, following the IRS guidelines, you must do a site visit. Virtual site visits are not allowed in the audit techniques guide. And that's a big deal because you don't want to leave that ticking time bomb in somebody's tax return, especially if you've got investors. So we do the site visit, and typically after engagement, it's 6 to 8 weeks that we're complete. We've got it done. And then just like I walk the client through the estimate in the beginning, I walk them through the final report at the end, and I say, hey, Kyle, you remember we were talking about how you might be able to use my report in the future? Well, look at this. Between your roof covering and roof structure, it's worth 30 grand. Here it is. It's right there. And your windows are worth 18 grand, and your, whatever they are. And I show you where all this is in the report. And then you have a real concrete idea that went from theoretical before to now, what are all those windows worth in my building? What's that roof on the top of my building? What is that roof worth? And then all of a sudden, you become real crystallized on, hey, when I do renovations, I've got ability to take write-offs in the future. Let's rock and roll. And, life is good. So.
I love that, man. No, thank you. Yeah, for kind of walking us through that process and how that type of thing works. Yeah, it's that's incredibly cool. It makes a lot of sense for the like the in-person site visits too. Did
Well, keep in mind, somebody could say, "Oh yeah, we've got granite countertops. Oh yeah, we've
Sure.
got superdeluxe, whatever." And while they've got the Home Depot specials, not that there's anything wrong. I'm not besmirching Home Depot, but as opposed to custom,
Yeah,
they've got something they want. So we just have to verify, trust, but verify. That's what we got.
exactly.
I think they said that about the Russians at one point.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Did, oh, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Well, I know a lot of your folks are probably interested in,
Yes.
trying to accelerate their own trajectory on this. And I think back to you were talking about real estate values. Back in '91, my wife and I bought our first 2-family, and it was primo location in Salem, Mass, right
Hey.
next to the wharf, the big wharf in downtown Salem. And we
Ah,
paid $139K for a
what?
2-family.
Damn,
And
man.
I know it's insane. It was
You
really
still
a
have it?
we sold it in '06 and took the proceeds, did a 1031 and bought a commercial property, single tenant, on Route 1.
All
So
right.
yeah, so we kind of did the whole upgrade thing. And that was probably about '06 we did that. So
Absolutely, man.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Real estate is so much fun when you get into it. I was talking today to a person that is a medical professional and has great cash flow and never really thought about doing anything with real estate. All of a sudden, one of his friends said, "Hey, you ought to be doing real estate." And the guy goes, "Well, how would that look? What would that be like?" And so I was taking him through, here are the kind of buildings you could buy. How's your practice in? Here's the cash flow that you would be getting from it. He'd never looked at it in any way, shape, or form. And so we were talking about, okay, here's your cash flow. Here's how you can accelerate the depreciation, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh my gosh, this could be amazing. So I know exactly. Because whether you're doing a W-2 job or you're a doctor or a lawyer or anything, you're getting paid for your time. Real estate allows you to not necessarily get paid for your time. You just collect a toll every time somebody pays the rent every month.
Yeah.
And so you can build your wealth while not having to worry about the time you work. And I'm sure you have come to that realization as well, Kyle. So it's a great tool. And unlike just going out and buying stocks and bonds and mutual funds, unlike that, for whatever reason, the tax code gives incentives. In other words, allows you to take deductions for
Yeah.
that investment. And that's called depreciation. And so you can't depreciate stock, but you can real estate. So everybody's got to look at their own financial situation. So I'm not giving it investing advice here, of course. But when you start to look at all of the factors that go into, the real estate world, it's in my mind, a great place to be. And, I'm in it myself, plus doing this as my day job. So,
Yeah.
and my
No,
wife's a real estate agent as well. So she's in the game too. So
that's awesome, man. Hell yeah.
it is fun.
It is.
It's a lot of fun.
It definitely is, man. And honestly, like there's no other way I would want to like nothing else I would really want to like be into. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't real estate in some sort of way,
Exactly. It is just, I have so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
Going and looking at old junky two families that need work, or looking at buildings that used to be where they printed newspapers, and it's on the market, and pulling together people to take part in that, and it's just fun.
It
It's a
is,
lot of
man.
fun.
It's so much fun. Yeah, it's super cool, man. And like, I mean, even to your point, Jeff, there was a, or I should say, the point that I wanted to make is like, even one of these buildings can like change a lot of people's lives in general. Like 1 to 2 family, 1 3 family, 1 6 family, 10 family, whatever it is. Like one building, guys, can like really make an impact on a lot of things, especially if you pair it with a little bit of cost segregation action going on. Um, and it's definitely something that and that's the thing too, to Jeff's point. Like, there are, a lot of folks out there, like, medical professionals, attorneys, like, folks like that are constantly working, around the clock, probably make a pretty solid income, and might be like, oh, well, like, being a landlord, like, no thanks, like, I don't, that isn't my thing, I don't have time, like all that fun stuff. There's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate, guys. Like, you don't just have to be the landlord, or like being the person that's physically doing a flip or something, or there's a lot of different ways to invest passively, and that type of thing, and still leverage a lot of the types of benefits from multifamily, especially, as well as like the tax benefits and depreciation and that type of thing, by not necessarily being, the guy or gal that's in the weeds doing it. So
Well, yeah, I'm sure you must have had other folks on your podcast here that is this called a podcast? Is this a
yes,
YouTube thing, or what do you
it will
call
be
it?
both technically, yeah, but
Okay. Um, Sorry. Maybe you can edit that out. I
no,
don't know.
I love it, man. It's great.
So anyway, I'm sure you've had other people. One thing that a lot of people getting into it feel uncomfortable with is they're like, oh, I wouldn't want to go to my friends and be begging them for money to invest. And if the people that are hearing this are somewhat down this path of a real estate investment, I mean, this isn't somebody that's looking to buy their primary residence, and that they're not probably listening to your thing. They're probably looking at a multifamily, not just a single family that they're not going to rent out.
Yeah.
My point is, when you get to the next step, possibly where you're trying to figure out how to do this with low or no of your own money, um, don't look at it from the point of view of you're begging for money. Look at it from the point of view of you've got something positive to offer for them,
Yeah.
and you want to help them, and you help people solve real estate problems. And whether that problem is they're older, or they are tired of tenants, or whatever it is, you've got a resource. And I'm sure you, Kyle, and your podcast and your resource could help pull those, the people that can do the syndication paperwork, or the people that can also fund some fix and flips, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a negative conversation that you're just begging for money. It should be, I can help people get into the real estate business that otherwise couldn't or wouldn't, but you give me 50, 100, 200 grand, whatever the number is, as a way for you to help them into real estate investing and getting that passive income.
Yeah, no,
And
100%.
I'm sure you have resources that have been on that can help that. So
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, no, and to your point, you're 100% right, man. And it's one of those things that it's I read it in one of the books, man. I forget which one. I think it was one of the big red like syndication books. I forget, totally drawing a blank on who wrote it at the moment, but um it might have been Joe Fairless. But basically, like, one of the things, to your point, is like, in the back of it is like, you have to shift your mindset from, begging people for money to, I'm a person that provides an opportunity to folks who don't have access to it. It's a whole different paradigm,
yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was funny. I had done work for a, a person that had grown quite large in owning buildings, and he, he's out there, so I can say some of this. I won't mention
Yeah.
his name.
That's
He was
okay.
big into recovery centers, and he owned a bunch of buildings, and we were introduced, and we ended up doing his work and saved him a nice amount of money, and he was thrilled with it. And so when he sold out of that business, he ended up getting much more into real estate than he had been previously. And so he invited me to be on one of his um, uh, mastermind events. And so I was down in Florida with him, and we were at his house and at his yacht and doing this presentation for these folks that were there. And somebody had put as one of the, he had a bunch of influencers on there, and they were all talking about their experiences and the way they they look at things and the way they present things when they're trying to get folks that want to be in real estate but don't really want to be in real estate. They want the investment side of it but not the headache side of it.
Yep.
So one of those folks put my name, at the time it was my Instagram handle, I guess it's called. They put it on there, and I'm on this panel with these guys, and my phone starts to explode. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, something's going wrong at home. What's going on? And I look,
Yeah.
I got all these requests to follow me. And I'm like, Instagram isn't
Sure.
it's funny videos for me is what I used it for. But this January I said, okay, I better do something with this business thing. So I got at Depreciation Doctor. So
I
if
love
people
that,
would,
man. Yeah.
if people would follow me and at Depreciation Doctor either on Instagram or Facebook, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
But
I was definitely gonna ask, what your handles were and like your website and anything, for people to communicate, reach out to you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
so the website, good old website, is costsegs.com. Costsegs.com will get us connected there. But at Depreciation Doctor would be cool, because some of my inside CPA marketing folks are like, "Oh, what are you doing that for? That's a waste of time." And I'm like, "No, it's not.
no.
We, we, we gotta do this so that we're not using a fax machine, anymore." So,
Exactly, man. It's the power of the brand, Jeff. It's, you got to stick out nowadays, and there's a lot of people out there, doing this kind of stuff. And sometimes it's hard to, kind of break out, and that kind of thing. So I totally feel you, man. I love the tag, by the way, too. It looks so like gorgeous and like the like D's, like the alliteration, I love it, man. It's great.
it worked out beautifully. and I got to put a plug in for the depreciation spokes dog. So every
Yes.
every Thursday. So interestingly, historically, from what I hear, Thursday was originally Thor's Day, and my dog is named Thor. So every Thursday is Thor's Day, and we have a little video clip usually of Thor doing something to increase depreciation deductions for clients.
Yes.
So
I love it,
anyway,
man.
so if they follow me, they'll see every Thursday is Thor's Day.
I
So
love that, man. Damn. Hell yeah.
yeah, you've met Thor.
I
So
have a few times. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's
well,
awesome.
what else should we cover, or do you have other questions for me? Or
Yeah. I was just thinking myself. Yeah. Honestly, I think we covered a ton, man. This was absolutely awesome, Jeff. Thank you very, very much for coming on here, man. This was great.
I'm glad to do it, and thank you for asking me. I'm glad we have bumped into each other, and would be happy to collaborate with any of your listeners, viewers, podcastees, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
So, just give me those 5 data points, or if you want to DM me, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
At
using the lingo,
Depreciation
right?
Doctor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I should have put the at on the front of that when it asked me my name. I'll do that next time. But anyway, I'll respond with our quick questionnaire. The people typically will know the answers off the top of their head. Oh, here's the address, here's the square footage, here's the number of units, here's what we paid for it, blah blah blah, and then we can do a meeting, and I'll do that side by side the presentation. No problem at all.
Absolutely, my man. Thank you
Good
so
deal.
much,
Well,
Jeff.
hey, Kyle, thank you, and I appreciate it.